Boom. Shaka. Laka. Shooter. 2:03 a.m. on Thursday, February 6th, the year 2025 of our Lord. Thank you. Got a sleepy kitty over here. I'll let him sleep. Just going to tip you back for a second. First thing we got to do, take a little break. Going to be working in Shaper 3D today. All right, let's get the screen share going on. This is what we're going to base our design off of. And I'm actually going to start a whole new session. Only because this one is just loaded with files. Boy, I really can't play much of anything without blowing some copyright stuff. I'll just play intros, just short little intros. So what if they demonetize it? Whatever. I'm not here for the money from the videos. I'm here to hang out with you. Whenever that is. Wherever that is. Just make sure I get this. Smell the sea and feel the sky. Let your soul and spirits fly into the mystic. We're going into grips.
Together we will fall into the mistake.
I cannot seem to find that same grip. I don't think that's going to be it. I don't think that's it. That's just a regular grip.
Together we will fall into the mistake.
I know I'm going to end up going back in there. Because I got my hand guard and I got everything in there. So I ended up getting an order at the end of yesterday. Not only did we get an order, but I did get that OD green mixed up. And approximately 11 minutes until this print is done. Let me pull out this OD green for you. All right, so I just of the resin bath, but I just want to show you that OD green. If you can see it, but doggone it. That looks all right. Really need to get my air compressor together. But that is the OD green. Actually turned out real nice. And for anybody who watched our angled foregrip design video, for one, thank you for watching that. Two, this is the first time the world has ever seen our angled foregrip. Yes, we have our gray grip, but this is the foregrip that goes with it. Here's the primary grip, and here's the foregrip set to go with it. Not only that, but we also have our top rail guard, and in OD green we have our M-Lock grips. Now you gotta see this. Okay, this is nuts. Come here, camera. Come here, camera. Focus. Focus closer. Focus closer. You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. How wide angle is this camera? That's so crazy. There we go. There we go, camera. All right, you see that little grip action that's on there? That's super important. And that is amazing. That's all I can tell you. That stuff grips and holds your hand better than you might think. So the foregrip action going on here with the thumb. Now, because my hands are kind of medium, I don't really reach up top like this. I don't really do that. But I see that people are going to do that. I can. That's not so comfortable for me. You can see I'm kind of stretching to make that happen. Now I can lose some of my grip here and drop to one knuckle, but I don't like that. I like to have it 2 knuckles deep here. Okay. Yeah, that's great. But really, I like to be like here. I'd like to be something like that. Now I'm considering designing some sort of hand catch that goes there, but especially this top one, because you could use a little bit more hook. But if you had a glove on, I mean, this stuff is like, it really does have a lot of grip on it. I'm not going to lie. I could make that it a little bit more grippy. I could increase that size of that. And I might. But this is great for a first batch. We can send this out, and we might request for a little more, that I design a little bit more grip into the next one. But what a nice package. Hey, what a nice package. Look at how that increases your comfort and ability to handle your unit. forward of the trigger. So it'd be like so. Now this is actually a left-handed grip. So it would make sense if I handled it left-handed. Look at that. Fits the thumb nicely in the left hand. Love that. This is style 1, where it still has the long third nub. I've since reduced this half of it right here, and only that remains. So you can kind of roll your finger around there a little bit easier. So that's the grip pack together. It would look like that. Oh, that's so sick. Super sick. I like that a lot. Really excited to have it. Big product release right there, people. With the couch in the background and the sleeping cat. All right, so this OD green, I mean, compared to the gray, I've never seen on screen next to each other. That is amazing. And I have a black. I don't want to get it out because these blacks are so touchy, but I do. We're going to put it on camera. We are going to get these 3 out. Now, the gray is what is going to be replaced, unfortunately, because the gray looks the best. Honestly, it does. It prints the best. It looks great. So these are the 3. Black, green, and gray. I am probably going to replace everything painted with all unpainted stuff. So we're going to go with the black, the green, and an FDE. And that is going to be our line. Alrighty. Oh, we gotta put on some Sherlock Holmes. That's really what I need to do before I do anything. What a day. We've had sales 5 days in a row now. No, 2 days. We missed one in the middle there.
Our stories are based upon the character of Sherlock Holmes, created by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. Sherlock Holmes is portrayed by John Stanley, Dr. Watson by Alfred Shirley, and the dramatizations are by Edith Meiser. Well, here we are again in Dr. Watson's study. We find him seated in the large armchair in front of a crackling fire.
Good evening, Mr. Harris.
Good evening, Dr. Watson. Now, don't get up. You look very comfortable right where you are. And from the redness of your cheeks, I'd say you've had a good day off in the country somewhere.
Oh, that's where you're wrong, Mr. Harris. I've been doing museums most of the day, and it's very tiring work, especially with 2 small boys in tow.
I should think so. But where did you collect the kindergarten, Doctor?
Going to the place of nephews of mine. I was helping along with their education, you know. It's a custom in my family that the uncles must take the nephews museum visiting once a year. I remember as a boy being dragged through miles of art galleries.
But, Doctor, weren't you ever taken to the British Museum?
Oh, yes, and to Madame Tussauds. But the Tower of London was my favorite. The uncle who took me there was quite a fancier of precious stones. He explained the history of every jewel in the Crown's collection.
That must have been an education in itself. They say every famous gem is a trail of bloodshed and high adventure across the pages of history. And by the way, isn't your story tonight about a famous jewel?
Oh, yes, that is what reminded me so strongly of my boyhood visits to the Tower. The the famous Mazarin stone I'm going to tell you about had a history that would make your hair curl. Dear me, I little did I think when I saw it as a boy that I would ever hold that great yellow beauty in my own hand.
Great Scott, did you,
The
Doctor?
print just
Before
finished
I
up.
tell you that, Mr. Harris, suppose I give you a few moments to say a few words about our sponsor's most estimable product.
Thank you, Dr. Watson. As you put it, sir, it is indeed an estimable product. So esteemed, may I say that
I'll be back
beginning in
in 5 minutes.
1948, over 1,000
10 minutes.
leading stores from coast to coast are Clipper Craft dealers. To be exact, there are 1,036 such distinguished establishments. Those leading stores across the country are, of course, the key to the amazing values so unique to Clipper Craft clothes. The 1,036 leading stores are part of the famous Clipper Craft plan. In this plan, their buying power is concentrated to effect tremendous savings in manufacturing and distribution costs. Savings which are all yours. That's why truly fine Clipper Craft suits are only $40 and $45. Why Clipper Craft top coats and overcoats are only $40 and sport jackets only $26.50. Clipper Craft values are truly out of this world. Compare them with clothes selling for many dollars more. And now, Dr. Watson, let's get back to the story of the Mazarin stone.
Yes, let me see. Where was I? Oh, yes, I'd been married some years and had resumed my practice when one snowy winter afternoon, one of my calls took me in the neighborhood of Baker Street. I couldn't resist the temptation to drop in and find out for myself what my colleague Sherlock Holmes was up to. As I stood there in the falling snow waiting for someone to answer the bell, I glanced up at the window of his study, and there I saw the thin nose and saturnine features of the great detective. He was apparently deeply engrossed in a book. Presently the door was opened, and there stood Mrs. Hudson.
Well, bless my soul, as if it isn't the doctor. Good day to you, sir. It's a pleasure seeing you again.
Why, Mrs. Hudson, you're looking as beautiful as ever. You don't change at all.
Nor do you, sir. You and your blarney.
And how is the great man himself?
Him? He's in bed asleep, I think.
But I just saw him through the window.
So that fooled you, too. That's not him.
What do you mean?
Just you be going upstairs and find out for yourself. I'm not the one to be giving secrets away. Least of all, Mr. Holmes' secrets.
So, he's asleep in the middle of the afternoon, eh?
Yes, sir.
I suppose that means a case.
Yes, sir. He's hard at it now. And he's
All
getting
right, I just want
thinner
to show
and
you
thinner.
the build plate.
When will it be pleased to dine, Mr. Holmes, sir? I'll ask him. 7:30 the day after tomorrow, he'll say. You know his way when he's on a case.
These are all going to be
Yes, I seem to
giveaways.
remember.
He's a following someone.
Don't say.
Yes, sir. Yesterday he was out dressed like a workman, looking for a job. Today he was an old woman. Fair took me in, he did. And Lord knows I ought to be knowing his ways by now. You'll see his old woman's umbrella leaning up against the sofa in his study.
Dear me. And what is this case all about?
Well, I don't mind telling you, sir. But mind you don't let it go any farther.
Cross my heart, Mrs. Hudson.
Very well, then. The case of the Crown Diamond.
What? The £100,000 burglary?
Yes, sir. And Mr. Holmes is getting it back for him. Why, would you believe it? Yesterday we had the Prime Minister and the Home Secretary sitting on Mr. Holmes' sofa, both at the same time.
Why, I hope it stood up under the strain. And how did Holmes behave to such famous persons on his couch?
Him? He was very nice to them and put them right at their ease.
Indeed.
Yes, sir. Then there was old Lord Cantlemere. Oh, you know what that means. He's a stiff'un, if I do say so. I can get along with the Prime Minister, and I've nothing against the Home Secretary. He seems an obliging sort of man with a civil tongue in his head, but I can't abide his lordship.
Poor fellow.
Yes, sir, and neither can Mr. Holmes. You see, he don't believe in Mr. Holmes, and he's against employing him. He'd rather he failed.
Does Holmes know that, do you think?
Mr. Holmes knows whatever there is to know.
Oh, absolutely. But I say, perhaps I'd better not wake him.
Oh, I wish you would, sir. He's not had a bite to eat since yesterday noon, and then only a sandwich with a glass of milk, and I don't dare speak to him about it. You know what he's like, sir, when he's busy on a case.
Oh, quite. Well, suppose I go up and beard the lion in his den, eh? Holmes. I say, Holmes, are you awake? He must be asleep. Well, I'll go in anyway. Same old place and the same old litter. Scientific charts, chemicals, violin, pipes, papers, all higgledy-piggledy. Oh, there's the old boy himself snoozing in the armchair in front of the window. I thought I saw him from the street. Just go over and tweak his ear.
Watson, come away from that window.
What? Good gracious, Holmes, you gave me a start.
Come away from that window if you value your life.
Well, very well, very well. But I say, Holmes, this is all very confusing. Here I see you sitting in your armchair, and suddenly you pop out of from your bedroom door. Since when have you been twins?
Yes, it is rather a startling likeness, isn't it?
Likeness?
Yes, it's a wax image of me. I'm expecting to get a bullet through its beautiful head at any moment. Would you mind drawing the blinds without exposing yourself?
Oh, all right.
I'm sorry, we're doing the same story again.
Now I can come into the room.
Yes, but why all this hocus pocus?
I'm being watched from a window across the street by a gentleman with an unpleasantly efficient air gun. Yes, Watson, you come at a critical moment.
Yes, so I gather.
How far am I justified in allowing you to share this danger with me, I wonder?
Danger? What kind of danger?
Sudden death. I'm expecting something this evening.
Expecting what?
To be murdered, Watson.
Oh, you're joking.
Even my limited sense of humor could produce a better joke than that. Perhaps you'd better go while there's still time.
My dear Holmes, you couldn't get me out of here now at the point of a revolver.
Good. But sit down, sit down. May as well be comfortable in the meantime. How about a pipe and a glass of brandy? They have to take the place of food these days.
But why not eat?
The faculties become refined when you starve them.
Oh, rubbish.
What your digestion gains in the way of blood supply is so much lost to the brain. Present, I'm all brain.
But this danger, Holmes.
His name is Silvius. Better write it down. Count Negretto Silvius. 136 Moorside Gardens, Northwest.
What's that, Gardens Northwest?
Got it?
Yes.
Good. You can give it to Scotland Yard with my love and a parting blessing in case the murderer is successful.
Look here, Holmes. I'm in on this. I've nothing to do for a day or two.
Your
and I've-
morals don't improve, Watson. Now you've added fibbing to your other vices. You bear every sign of the busy medical man.
Oh, to blazes with that. I say, can't you have this fellow arrested?
Yes, I can. That's why he's determined to kill me.
Well, then why don't you?
Because I don't know where he's hidden the confounded diamond.
Oh, yes, Mrs. Hudson told me. The missing crown jewel.
I've cast my net, Watson, and got my fish. But what's the use of catching them if the jewels slip through my fingers?
And is this Count Silvius one of your so-called fish?
Yes, he's the shark. The other is Sam Merton, the boxer. He's the Count's tool. Sam's not a shark. He's a great bull-headed gudgeon. Come in, come in. Ah, Mrs. Hudson, what is it?
A gentleman downstairs to see you, sir. Here's his card.
Count Negretto Silvius. Well, well, so the old shark is grasping the nettle, eh?
That metaphor is a trifle mixed, Holmes.
Show him up, Mrs. Hudson, when I ring. If I'm not in the room, show him up all the same.
Yes.
Man of nerve, Hudson. Possibly you've heard of his reputation as a big game hunter. What a triumphant ending to his sporting record if he succeeds in adding me to his bag. This is proof that he feels my breath uncomfortably hot on his neck.
Look here, why not send for the police?
Not yet. Not quite yet. Take a glance out of the window, Watson, and see if anyone's hanging about.
Yes, all right. There's one rough-looking fellow near the door.
That will be Sam. Faithful but fatuous.
I say, look here, Holmes, this is serious. I insist on staying with you.
But you'll be in the way.
In his way?
No, in mine.
Well, I'm not going to budge.
Very well, we'll compromise. You shall stay in the bedroom within call in case I need you.
Yes, but
Come
Holmes...
along. It's essential that this room be empty when the Count enters it. He's come for his own purpose, but he may stay for mine. Hurry. I think I hear his step on the stairs.
Oh, he's not in here, sir. But once you step in, I'm sure he'll be back in a moment.
Many thanks.
And now your pardon me, sir.
Certainly. So, this is his den, eh? His bottles and his papers and all the rest of his hocus pocus. Ah, softly, Sylvia, softly. There's the old dog vulture himself asleep in his chair. What luck, Holmes? One tap from my gold-headed cane.
Don't break it, Carter, don't break it. Holmes, you, quite. I trust you were expecting someone else. I see you've been admiring my wax figure. Pretty little thing, isn't it? Tavernier made it. He's almost as good at waxworks as your friend Straubenzee is at air guns.
Air guns? What do you mean?
First, put your hat and stick on the side table. Thank you. Now, pray take a seat. Perhaps you'd like to put your revolver on the table, too. No, you prefer to sit on it? Very well. This visit is most opportune. I want a few minutes' chat with you.
Good. I, too, wish to have some words with you.
May I ask why all these personal attentions?
Because you annoy me. You've put your creatures on my tracks.
My creatures, I assure you, no.
Nonsense. I've had them followed. Well, two can play at that game, my friend. Yesterday, there was a sporting old gentleman. Today, it was an elderly woman.
You flatter me, Count. Old Baron Dawson said the night before he was hanged that in my case, what the law had gained, the stage had lost. And now you praise my impersonations. Dear me,
It was you.
you yourself. Quite. There's the old lady's umbrella you were gracious enough to hand back to me when we collided in the minories this morning.
If I'd only known.
I would never have seen this humble home again. Oh, well, we all have our neglected opportunities.
You admit you have doubted me. Why?
You used to shoot lions in Algeria.
Well,
But why?
why? The sport, the excitement, the danger.
And no doubt to free the country from a pest.
Exactly.
Well, those are my reasons in a nutshell.
Why, you did. I'll show you.
Sit down at once. Take your hand from your hip pocket. That's better. There's another, more practical reason. I want that diamond.
Fancy that.
Your reason in coming here is to find out how much I know, so you may judge how far my removal is necessary. Well, I shall say from your point of view, it's quite essential.
Absolutely.
In short, there's only one thing I do not know.
And what is the missing fact, if I may inquire?
Where is the crown diamond hidden?
Dear me. So that's it. Suppose I don't know.
You can't bluff me, Sylvius. You're absolutely plate glass. I can see to the very back of your mind.
Really? Well, then, of course, you see where the diamond is.
You know that. You admitted it.
I admit nothing.
Oh, come. Be reasonable. If not, you'll get hurt.
And you talk to me about love.
You see this notebook?
Surely.
You know what I keep in it?
No, I don't pretend to be a mind reader.
This book is you. Me? Yes, you. Every move of your filthy, dangerous life.
You know, Holmes, there are limits to my patience.
It's here, all of it. The real facts in the death of Mrs. Harrell, who left you the Blymer estate.
Fabrication.
The complete life history of Miss Minnie Wallander.
You can't prove anything.
And plenty more. Here is a robbery in the train to Lux to the Riviera on February the 13th, 1892. The forged check on the Credit Lyonnais.
No, you're wrong there.
Then I am right about the others. Now then, come. You're a card player. The other fellow has all the trumps. Time to throw in your hand.
What connection is all this with the theft of the crown jewels?
Patience, my dear fellow. Patience. I have the cabman who took you to Whitehall. The one who drove you away. I have the commissionaire who saw you near the case.
That proves nothing.
I have Ike Sanders.
Ike?
Yes, Ike Sanders, who refused to cut it up for you. Ike has peached.
Ike. Oh, wait till I get
Yes, that is the hand I play from. Only one card is missing. The ace of diamonds.
You'll never get it.
No? Consider, you're going to be locked up for 20 years, you and Sam, perhaps longer. What good will the diamond be to you then? None in the world. Now, we don't want you, and we don't want Sam. We want the diamond. Give it up, and as far as we're concerned, you're free if you behave yourself in the future. My commission is to get the stone, not you.
And if I refuse?
Then it will be you, and not the stone. I think it might be as well to have your friend Sam at this conference. He's waiting outside in the street. Suppose you tap on the window and motion him to come up. Oh, Mrs. Hudson will let him in. She's quite used to my receiving curious characters.
Very well. He's coming. Now, what are you going to do?
I have a shark and a gudgeon in my net. Now I'm drawing it. Up they come together.
You will never die in your bed, Holmes.
Does it matter very much? It's no use fingering your pistol, my friend. You wouldn't dare to use it, even if I gave you time to draw. Mighty things, revolvers. Better stick to air guns. But listen, isn't that the fairy footstep of your friend, Mr. Merton? Come in, Sam. Come in. Rather dull waiting in the street, isn't it?
What's up, Governor?
It's all up, Sam. Put it in a nutshell.
What's this code trying to do? Be funny? I'm not in a funny mood myself.
No, I expect not. I can promise you that you'll feel even less humorous as the evening progresses. On a kiss, Sylvius, I can't waste time. I'm going into that bedroom. I shall play on my violin for 5 minutes. At the end of that time, I shall return for your decision. Do we take you, or do we get the stone? Now, where did I put my violin? I said this. 5 minutes, remember. Clippercraft has a great reputation for fine quality. That's what you go by when you choose your first Clippercraft suit. And once you've worn Clippercraft, you learn how marvelously it stands up to hard wear, how very comfortable you feel in it. The long wear comes from fine materials and precision workmanship. Your comfort comes from excellent fit, resulting from skilled designing. What will amaze you is how so much is possible for so very little. Remember, Clippercraft suits are only $40 and $45. Clippercraft top coats and overcoats are only $40, and sport jackets only $26.50. These are modest prices indeed for clothes obviously worth much more. The great Clippercraft plan, concentrating the buying power of 1,036 leading stores across the nation, makes these remarkable values possible. In your own local independent store, the store you can trust. Selling expensive clothes at inexpensive low prices at the nation's finest independent stores is the great big idea behind the Clippercraft plan. That's why men who know insist on Clippercraft clothes. So be sure to visit the Clippercraft store in your city.
These leading stores in the metropolitan area are proud to add their names to Clippercraft in your suit, top coat, and overcoat. In Manhattan, John Wanamaker Men's Stores, Broadway at 8th and 67 Liberty Street. Saks 34th, Broadway at 34th. In Brooklyn, Abraham and Strauss. In Newark, New Jersey, Boulevard Men's Shop, Kresge Newark. And in Jamaica, the B&B Clothes Shop, 16408 Jamaica Avenue.
Now let's return to 221B Baker Street, where Count Sylvius and his henchman Sam are discussing their dilemma, while Sherlock Holmes' violin can still be heard in the next room.
He do play pretty, don't he?
Oh, shut up, Sam.
Look here, does this mean that he knows about the stone?
He knows too much about it. I'm not sure he doesn't know everything.
Good Lord.
Ikey Sanders has split.
Oh, he has he? Oh, I'll do him a thicker for that. See if I
That won't help us now. To make up our minds.
Hey, off him out. He's a leery cove. What if he's listening?
How can he be with that violin squeaking like that?
Oh, sir, there he is, sitting right in that chair.
Rot, it's only a dummy.
Oh, fake, eh? Well, strike me, madam, to swords ain't it? What's a living spit of it, drifting down and all?
Oh, shut up. You're wasting our time, and there isn't any too much. He can jail us over the stone.
The deuce he can.
But he'll let us go if we tell him where the stone is.
What? Give up 100,000 quid?
It's one or the other.
He's in there alone. Let's do him in.
He's armed and ready. That's too noisy. He'll never get away. Besides, it's likely the police have whatever evidence he's collected. What was that? I'd have sworn I heard something move over there in the window.
Something in the street, most likely. Oh, look here, Governor, you've got the brains. If slugging's no good, it's up to you.
Yes, I've fooled better men than he. The stone is here in my secret pocket. I can get out of England tonight, cut it into 4 pieces in Amsterdam before Sunday. He knows nothing about Lanceda.
But the false bottom ain't
We must chance it as it is. Not a moment to lose. As for Holmes, the fool won't arrest us if he can get the stone. We'll put him on the wrong track. And before he discovers it is wrong, it'll be in Holland. And we'll be out of the country.
Sounds good to me. I wonder you dare carry it.
Where would it be safer?
Let's have a look at it.
What's the idea, huh?
What's up, Matty? You think I'm going to snatch it off you? Now, look here, mister. I'm getting fed up with you.
offense, Sam. We can't afford to quarrel. Now, here. Come over here to the window. Out of the line of that keyhole. Now, there. Hold it to the light. It is a beauty, no? Thank you, gentlemen. Holmes.
Oh, I thought you said he was a dummy.
Dear me, not very flattering of you, Count. You scoundrel, you thief. Temper. No violence, gentlemen, please. Consider the furniture. Police are waiting below. But how the deuce there is a second door to my bedroom behind that window curtain? I thought the game was up when you heard me displace the dummy. I believe you're the devil himself. Flatter me. But here are our friends from Scotland Yard. Take them away, boys.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but I say, how about the blooming fiddle is still playing?
Quite right, Sam. Remarkable invention, the gramophone. Let it play.
Turn on there.
All right,
Get moving. That's it.
All right, Watson, you can stop that machine.
I say, Holmes, I've lost at least 5 pounds in the last half hour.
Very beneficial to your waistline.
Oh.
Becoming disgustingly plump. Look at this.
Why, it's the Crown Diamond.
Hello, what's up now? Come in. Oh, Mrs. Hudson.
Lord Cantlemere, dear.
What again? Can't he ever let us alone? Well, show him up.
He's up, sir, begging your pardon.
Well, I must say, Holmes, you have most unmannerly people in your household. I ran into a group of ruffians as I was coming to the door.
Oh, that must have been the fellows from Scotland Yard. It's rather warm in here. May I take your overcoat?
No. Quite comfortable. Furthermore, I have no intention of staying.
Dr. Watson will assure you that these sudden changes of temperature are most insidious.
Take your hands off my coat. I intend to keep it on.
Very well.
I came to see how your self-appointed task is getting on.
It's difficult. Very difficult.
Yes, I suspected you would find it so. Every man has his limitations.
Yes, I've been greatly perplexed.
No doubt.
Especially on one point. But perhaps you can help me.
You apply for my advice rather late in the day. Still, I'm ready to give you the benefit of my opinions.
You understand we can doubtless frame a case against the actual thieves.
Once you have caught them,
Quite. But the real question is, how shall we proceed against the receiver? What would you regard as the final evidence against the receiver?
the actual possession of the stone, of course.
You would arrest him on that?
Why, certainly.
In that case, my dear Lord Cantlemere, I shall be under the painful necessity of advising your arrest.
Forget yourself, Mr. Holmes. I have no time for such childish jokes. I may tell you frankly, sir, that I have never had any belief in your powers. Good evening.
One moment. Actually, to make off with a Mazarin stone would be even more serious to be found in temporary possession of it.
It is intolerable. Let me pass immediately.
Just put your hand in the right-hand pocket of your overcoat.
What do you mean?
Do as I ask.
Well, however, say, what's this?
Seems to be the Mazarin stone. For shame, sir, for shame.
Well, bless my soul. Heaven thunder. Well, I'll be...
Undoubtedly. However, I really must apologize. I never could resist a dramatic situation. I took the liberty of slipping the stone into your pocket at the beginning of our interview.
Well, to say I am bewildered is putting it mildly. We are greatly indebted to you, sir, in spite of your somewhat perverted sense of humor. And I certainly withdraw any reflection I may have made on your amazing professional powers. How unusual.
The details can wait. I trust your pleasure in relaying news of our success will be some small atonement for my practical job.
Oh, yes, it will, sir. It will indeed. I can hardly wait to get the good word around. Good day, Mr. Holmes.
Good day, Lord Cantlemere. Watson, will you show his lordship out?
With pleasure.
And tell Mrs. Hudson I should be obliged if you'd send up dinner for 2 as soon as possible. What an extraordinary story, Dr. Watson, and what a perfect climax.
Yes, Mr. Harris. Holmes always had an eye for the dramatic. Which reminds me, next week's story.
Did you say that next week's story is going to be particularly dramatic, Doctor?
I didn't say it, Mr. Harris, because you interrupted me, but I was going to. Yes, next week I'm going to tell you how the 5-year-old racehorse Blazing Star suddenly dropped dead of old age, and how my youthful prowess in the game of rugby saved Holmes and myself from a diabolical plot of our arch enemy, Professor Moriarty.
makers of Clippercraft clothes and 1036 leading stores from coast to coast have brought you another in the new series of broadcasts featuring the world's most famous detective, Sherlock Holmes. Sherlock Holmes is produced and directed by Basil Lochran, with special music by Albert Berman.
Now, Dr. Watson, I'm all ears.
Well, I was paying Holmes one of my frequent visits. His cottage is situated on the southern slope of the Sussex Downs, commanding an excellent view of the English Channel. At this point, the coast is made up of chalk cliffs, which can only be descended by a single tortuous path, which is steep and slippery. At the bottom of the path, there are curves and hollows, which make splendid swimming pools, and are filled afresh with each flow of the tide, and warmed by the sun.
What town is Mr. Holmes' place near?
A village called Falworth. But even that is at a distance, and the house is quite lonely. Half a mile away is Holmes's only neighbour.
And who is that?
Harold Stackhurst, who's the headmaster of the well-known preparatory school, Gable. A private school, I suppose you would call it. It was summer. Most of the boys were away on holiday, except a few who were catching up. The teaching staff was reduced to 3. First of all, there was Harold Stackhurst himself, who was an old pal of mine. We went to school together. He was a splendid fellow, and well-known blue for rowing in his day. Assisting him were 2 younger men, Fitzroy McPherson, red-headed and cheerful. Summer and winter, he went for his morning swim.
Winter swimming, quite a sport.
Yes, indeed. The other schoolmaster was Ian Murdoch, a tall, dark man, taciturn and aloof, with occasional outbursts of temper.
The villain of the piece.
There you go, anticipating again.
Oh, sorry.
Stop this. Well, it was early one morning, just after sunrise. There'd been a severe gale the day before, but the wind and the waves had finally abated and everything looked newly washed and fresh. The air had a decided nip to it, and Holmes and I were on our way down to the beach for our morning start. I say, Holmes, that water's blue this morning, isn't it? Rather cold looking, if you ask me.
Do you good, Watson. Your circulation needs toning up. You can run all the way home.
Run up the cliff path? Oh, that's the hard.
Rubbish. The boys do it.
Well, I'm not under the delusion that I'm still in my first youth.
Hello. Isn't that Stackhurst coming along the cliff? He's got a towel over his arm, obviously going down to the beach. He's not afraid of a little cold water. And he's almost as old as you are.
He's older.
Oh,
Oh, a great deal older. He was 2 forms above me at school.
dear, dear. Quite an old man. I had no idea
Oh,
that...
stop bragging me, Holmes.
Hello there, Stackhurst. Hello. Hello. Going swimming? Yes. Wait for us. Come on, Watson.
Oh, bless my soul, if it isn't Watson. Delighted to see you, old chap. I thought you weren't coming down for another month. Well, I just couldn't stay away any longer. I'm so fond of the swimming here.
Yes, Watson has just been saying that there's nothing like a good dip before breakfast to tone up the system. What did you say, Watson?
Oh, I think so.
Stackhurst, where are your 2 young assistants? McPherson and Murdoch, the gloomy Scot. I've never known them to miss their matutinal fun.
Oh, Murdoch has had to keep some of the boys at their algebra. He'll be along later. McPherson has gone on ahead. I expect he's in the water now.
Any more outbursts of temper on Murdoch's part lately?
No, not since last week, when he found the boy putting toads in his bed. His temper is ferocious, Holmes. I suppose I should give him dismissal, but he's such a confounded good teacher.
A little bit of temper won't harm the boys now and then. Help to keep them in line.
Yes, I'll wait till the next fellow who wants to put extraneous objects in Murdoch's bed will think twice about it.
Look, there's someone staggering up the edge of the cliffs.
Yes, he's in bathing trunks, an overcoat flapping in the wind.
What's the matter with him?
Drunk, probably. Look at him, real. A fine example for my boys. And who the devil can it be?
Yes, it's McPherson. I could tell that red hair anywhere. He's trying to wave to us.
I've never known him to behave like this.
He's not drunk. He is in agony. He needs help. Hurry, Watson, run.
I say, he's fainted. No, he's trying to get up again. He's writhing on the ground. Courage, old boy. We're coming. Pain. I can't breathe. Killing me.
What is it? What's happened to you?
The knee. The lion's knee. But, good heavens, he's having convulsions. His face is turning purple.
he's stopped. Thank heaven.
How is he, Watson? I can't see him breathe.
Wait a minute. Yes, he's dead. Some terrific shock. His heart gave out. Look, he's bitten through his lower lip. The paroxysm of his agony.
What could it have been? He's not wounded. No signs of a struggle.
Take that coat off. Let's take a look at him. Easy now, easy.
Good heavens, Holmes, his back. Just look at his back. Great red welts around his shoulders and around his ribs.
Terrible. What was it you tried to tell us?
He said something about a lion.
A lion's mane, to be exact.
We don't think he's being clawed by a lion or some wild beast in this part of England. It's unthinkable.
Quite. Besides, the claws of an animal would have dug deeper. These welts are inflamed, and there are little red spots at certain intervals. It looks as if someone has used a lash on him. A thin iron scourge with knots, poisoned knots.
Who could it have been? There's been no one along the edge of the cliff, and we can see for miles.
No, on the beach.
There are some fishing boats, but they're too far out. I wonder...
Did anyone bear him a grudge? Did he quarrel with anyone?
Why, no. That is, not recently.
Hello. What's up? Why do you all look so serious?
Hello, Murdoch. Where did you come from?
Classroom, I just left the boys. What's the matter with McPherson? What's he lying like that for?
He is dead. Murdered. He's been flogged to death.
Dead? It's horrible. Who could have?
We don't know.
Is there anything I can do?
Yes. Yes. Go back to the house, send for the police, and keep the boys indoors. I don't want them mixed up in this.
Of course. Dead, I can't believe it.
Stankhurst, you stay here with the body. Watson and I will go down to the beach to see what we can find.
Good. But don't be any longer than you can help.
Come along, Watson. Here's the path leading down the face of the cliff. The only path for miles. He was attacked down on the beach. The murderer is still there.
I say, he may be armed. I'd better go back for my revolver. Suppose the murderer goes for us.
Oh, rubbish. Come along. There's no time to waste. They escape. Careful. There's prey here. Slippery.
Look, Holmes. Footprints.
Yes, the same one's descending and then returning again. McPherson, undoubtedly. That means no one else has been to the beach by this path since the storm. Here's the mark of his hand where he fell. The print of both knees. That's all that the path holds for us. Now for the beach itself.
Look, there's quite a lagoon left by the tide. The towel is lying beside it.
Told it was dry, so he didn't enter the water. There's his sweater beside the pool. Look here, on the sand, footprints. Naked and with a canvas shoe. Questions again, that proves he made ready to bathe, but the towel shows he returned without bathing, or at any rate without drying himself.
Look, Holmes, there are some distant figures up there on the beach.
Too far away. Besides, this lagoon lay between them and McPherson.
That's the fishing boat.
Perhaps, but I can see no sign of a boat having been beached along the shore.
Yes, but then how?
Right.
It's Stankhurst. We saw him coming from the direction of the gables. How about Murdoch? He has a glowering look. I don't trust him. Do you think that he really was up at the school with the boys?
That is an alibi we shall have to look into. Hello, Stankhurst. Why did you leave the body?
Murdoch sent down one of the gardeners to stand watch over it, so I came along. Besides, I just thought of something.
Yes?
You asked if anyone had a grudge against McPherson, and I thought I ought to tell you.
Go on.
Well, about a year ago, this chap Murdoch was rather fond of a girl down in the village. But McPherson cut him out. Murdoch didn't seem to mind at the time, but about 2 months later, McPherson and Murdoch had a pretty bad row. Murdoch was always a bit wild, you know. Well, when McPherson's dog got excited, he went for Murdoch, and Murdoch went into one of his rages and threw the animal out of the window. Well, the dog wasn't hurt, and the quarrel was patched up. At least so we all thought. But you never know. Resentment sometimes smolders for a long time.
Yeah, particularly if there's a woman in the case.
Quite. Well, let's have a look at the towel and sweater. We've seen everything else there's to see down here. Hello. There's something in the pocket of the sweater. It's a note. Dear me. A note of assignation.
Huh? What's it say?
We'll be there in the same place, darling.
There you are, woman.
All my love, Maudie.
Why, that's the girl. The one I told you about, Maud Bellamy.
McPherson was in love with her.
Obviously.
This whole affair has upset me so. It may give the school a bad reputation. It was only by chance that several of the boys weren't with McPherson when it happened. I say, was it chance? After all, Mac, he was the one who insisted on algebra before breakfast.
At present, I'm more interested in this girl than in murder. Suppose we take a walk to Falworth and call on her.
I'm with you. Come on.
Oh, not so fast, Watson, not so fast. We'd better dress first. We might cause quite a stir parading down the village streets in these costumes. Remember, you've still got your bathing suit on.
You sure have. I've forgotten all about how chilly it was.
In just a moment, we'll find out what Sherlock Holmes discovers in his visit to Maud Bellamy. Men, I'm sure you'll agree that well-groomed hair adds a great deal to a man's appearance. And one of the first requisites of handsome, healthy-looking hair is a hygienic scalp. So start at once and take better care of the hair you've got. If you're smart, you'll use Kreml hair tonic. No other hair tonic keeps the hair more neatly in place without looking or feeling greasy. But Kreml does lots more than keep hair looking handsome. Kreml's light oils have a grand lubricating effect on a dry scalp. At the same time, Kreml removes itchy, loose dandruff. Notice how alive, how tingling your scalp feels. And men, you like to massage Kreml on your scalp because it's such a clean product. It never feels greasy or sticky. And if your hair, like so many men's, is so dry that it breaks off and falls when you comb it, Kreml actually helps condition the hair in that it makes it feel softer, more pliable, and look as if it had some body to it. So for handsome, groomed hair and a more hygienic scalp, use Kreml daily. Buy a bottle of Kreml at any drugstore. Ask for an application at your barber's. Kreml, Kreml Hair Tonic. That famous modern hair tonic which has become such a nationwide favorite. Now, Dr. Watson, you dressed and went over to Falworth to call on McPherson's girl. Is that right?
That's right, Mr. Bell. Stackers pointed the house out to us. That's the Bellamy house over there, Mr. Holmes. The one with the corner tower and the slate roof. Maud is the daughter of old Tom Bellamy, who owns all the boats and bathing huts at Falworth. He was a fisherman to start with, but now a man of some substance, I believe. Yeah, judging from the house, he must have come up in the world. Maud is the prettiest girl for miles around. Quite a beauty, in fact. She must have had scores of admirers. By Jove, look who's coming out of the front gate. It's Murdoch. What in thunder is he doing here? Hey there, Murdoch. What do you mean by coming over here? I am
your subordinate, sir, under your own roof. I am not aware that I owe you any account of my private actions.
Your answer is pure impertinence.
So was your question.
This is not the first time that I've had to overlook your insubordinate ways, but it will certainly be the last. You will make arrangements to leave my school as soon as possible.
I intend to go in any case. Lost the only person who made the Gables habitable.
Insolence. How dare he? Young whippersnapper. He seemed very eager to clear out of here. Perhaps you were a trifle hasty in giving him an excuse to go. I never thought of that. Shall I tell the police to place him under arrest?
No, we can prove nothing against him as yet. Better persuade him to stay until we are sure he didn't do it.
Very well. It's against my principles, but I'll go after him and see what I can do.
Splendid. Now, Watson, suppose we call on Miss Bellamy and present our condolences. I take it that Mr. Murdoch has already broken the news of the tragedy. Ring the bell, that's good fellow.
Oh, don't you think it's a bit heartless, Holmes, calling at this time?
If the girl has any character at all, she will want to help us discover the murder of her sweetheart. Any woman with any...
What do you want?
We would like to speak to Miss Bellamy.
Well, you can't.
You are her father, I take it.
Yes, I'm her father, and I know who you be, Mr. Sherlock Holmes. And I'm not having you mixing my daughter up in any of your dirty business.
I thought you might want to help us solve the murder.
Ah, you did it, yeah. Well, I'll have you know I consider Mr. McPherson's attentions to my Maud was insulting. And my son, William, is of the same mind. Letters and meetings, but never a word of marriage. I'll not have you breaking her out. I'll not have her name dragged through the...
All right, Father. I know that Fitzroy is dead. I want to help find his murderer.
I'll not have you mix
This
it
is my business, Father. Let me manage it in my own way. I'll do anything you say, Mr. Holmes, to help bring them to justice.
Why do you say them?
Mr. McPherson was not a weakling. He was brave and strong. No single person could have inflicted such an outrage on him.
One thing more. We found this note in the dead man's pocket. Can you throw any light on it? Did he go down to the beach expecting to meet you?
No. I sent it, it's true. But we were to meet tonight. I see no reason for mystery. We were engaged to be married. We only kept it secret because Sis didn't want to be ragged by the boys at the school. Here is my engagement ring.
Well, you might have told me.
I would, if you had shown a little more sympathy, Father.
But the note, it didn't come by post. Who was your go-between?
I'd rather not answer that question. It really has nothing to do with the matter.
Do you realize that this go-between was the only person who knew of your meetings with young McPherson? Had he any reason to resent him?
That's no business of yours.
You had many suitors, I believe.
That she did.
Was Ian Murdoch one of them?
There was a time when I thought he was. But all that was changed when he found that Fitzroy and I cared for each other.
Miss Bellamy, do you think it natural that a hot-tempered young fellow like Murdoch would get over his feeling as easily as that?
What are you trying to make me say? If you think Ian Murdoch had anything to do with the murder, you're wrong. A finer man never drew the breath of life. He wanted us to be happy. He wasn't the kind to think of himself first. He'd gotten over his feelings for me.
Then why did he want to be the first to tell you the news of your fiancé's death?
Because he was Fitzroy's friend. He thought it was his duty. He thought he... What does it matter? Fitz is dead. Why don't you find his murderer? What's the good of all this?
Thank you for your information, Miss Bellamy.
Leave me alone, can't you? Leave me alone. Go and find the murderer if you're so clever.
Perhaps we shall. Well, good day.
Looks like another blank wall to me, Holmes.
Perhaps. But even that is enlightening. There are only so many possibilities, Watson. We may finally arrive at the correct solution by crossing off all the rest.
I must say, Holmes, for a detective on a case, you seem extraordinarily lackadaisical. You spent the better part of the last 3 days up in your garret among your books.
I've been looking for the solution, something I once read at the back of my mind, but I can't seem to bring it into the light of my consciousness.
Yes, and in the meantime, this Murdoch fellow may slip through our fingers. Once he leaves the school, we'll never be able to get our hands on him again.
I wonder that he hasn't left before this.
Oh, how can you sit there so calmly and say that, Holmes? You're losing your grip.
Perhaps I am. If I could only find the fact that I'm looking for. It began with a C. I'll swear it began with a C.
Well, then, how about the old encyclopedia there? Look up all the C's in the book.
But I'm not sure it is C.
Oh, Holmes, you're being exasperating and exaggerating. You know the murderer didn't escape along the beach or even climb the top of the cliff. But did it ever occur to you that it might be somebody hiding in one of those caves? Some sadistic maniac?
Yes, it did occur to me. But it's not possible. I searched every one of those caves, and there's no trace of human habitation in any of them.
Oh, and my theory of the sadistic maniac all wrong?
Yes.
Huh?
And horrible as that theory sounds, I'm convinced that the truth is even more horrible. That death came from the sea. And the truth is more ghastly than anything you can imagine.
Oh, you make the chills run down my spine. I must say, I shall never have the courage to go swimming down there again.
And a wise thing, too. At least for some time.
I must say, I don't see how young Murdoch has the nerve.
Murdoch? Murdoch went swimming down on that beach? When?
A quarter of an hour ago, I saw him go by with a towel over his arm.
Why didn't you tell me? Come on, we must bring him back. Poor boy hasn't a chance.
Oh, good heavens, Holmes, I had no idea. Look, something's happened. Someone's coming up the path. Stackhurst. He's carrying someone on his back. By thunder, it's Murdoch. And he's in bathing trunks.
Oh, Holmes! Watson! Something's happened to Murdoch!
What is it?
It's the same thing that killed young McPherson. I met him staggering up the face of the cliff. He was too far gone for me to get him home, so I brought him here. Put him on the couch.
Have a look at him. His heart is giving out. He can hardly breathe. His face is turning quite black. Here, quick, Holmes. Pour me out a glass of that brandy over there.
Right.
Hold his head while I try to get it down. That's it. That's it. If he can only swallow. That's it. Now some more. That's better. Take the bottle. You can't give him too much.
His color is coming back. He's beginning to breathe again.
His heart is getting stronger.
Look, he's trying to talk.
It lashed me in the water. It lashed me.
Now I remember. In the water, of course.
The pain. It's terrible. I can't stand it. Give me something. Morphine. Anything. I daren't give him a sedative. It might affect the heart. Holmes, here, get the cotton wool there and the olive oil.
Right. What is it?
It's a poison of some kind. It affects the nerves, apparently. Must be terribly painful.
That's wanted.
Good. But now saturate the cotton wool. The dressing on his back. Now, that's right. Use plenty of oil.
There we are.
That's better. Oh, that's much better.
By Jove, he's fainted.
I don't think so. He's just fallen asleep from sheer exhaustion.
Well, Watson, how's our patient coming along?
Splendid. The nurse says we can move him tomorrow. Splendid physique. That boy must have had to stand up under the strain. Mrs. Tackett, we all owe that chap an apology for suspecting of McPherson's death.
Yes. But who in thunder did kill him? I'll show him to you, if you like. You
Discovered the murderer?
Yes. One of the most gruesome instruments of torture ever devised. He is waiting for us at the foot of this cliff.
But is it safe to go down? You said that
Yes, if you don't go too near. Come along.
All right, if you say so.
The tide's coming in.
I don't see any murderer. I mean...
No, it's not as obvious as all that. Treacherous as well as deadly. I must say, this place gets on my nerves since the tragedy. I haven't allowed the boys to go in swimming lately. I suppose it's foolish of me. On the contrary. You would have had a few more tragedies if you'd allowed them to swim. This death strikes like lightning. There's no escaping it.
Great God, if it's as dangerous as all that, we better get back up the cliff before the murderer finds out.
We're quite safe unless we take a dip in the lagoon McPherson went swimming in.
That's what I thought you said, that he didn't go into the water.
So I did. The towel fooled me. The truth of the matter is that he was in such agony when he came out that he failed to use the towel. That's what threw me off the track in the first place.
The murderer?
Down here.
Where's he?
Under the cliff, where the lagoon is quite deep. Ah, there's your murderer, on that rocky shelf about 3 feet below the surface. Look down there. See it?
Why, it's a tangled mass. Great Scott, it's alive. It's vibrating and waving. A hairy creature with streaks of silver amongst its yellow stresses. Oh, what a foul and sinister thing.
Sinister enough. The death that comes from the sea. As fatal as a cobra and more far-reaching. That is Cyanea, the fearful stinger, sometimes called the lion's mane.
I've been born and bred in these parts, and I've never seen anything like it. Look at that foul thing. And it doesn't belong to Sussex, I swear.
Just as well for Sussex. The southwest gale must have brought it up. What do you say? Shall we end this murder forever?
Shall we end it by all means?
Very well. I think this boulder should do the trick. Help me move it. It's too heavy for one man.
Right. There she goes. Good. The boulder settled right on the filthy creature, pinning it to the ledge. One edge of yellow membrane is still flapping.
Not for long. Notice the oily scum oozing out from under the stone, rising slowly to the surface. That is the end of the killer.
Dr. Watson. I didn't know that you had company.
Shut the door, my boy, and come in and join us. Let me introduce you, Mr. Bartell. This is my friend, Mrs. Campbell.
How do you do, Mrs. Campbell?
How do you do, Mr. Bartell?
Mrs. Campbell is a very old friend of mine from England, and when she called on me today, I persuaded her to stay and have dinner, and then join us in this little session of storytelling. You see, Mr. Bartell, she's really what you might call the star of the Sherlock Holmes adventure that I'm going to tell you tonight.
Oh, come now, Dr. Watson. I actually played a very small part in the story. In any case, I was much too young at the time to know what was really going on.
Say, this is a great idea, Doctor. One of the characters out of your fabulous past here in California in 1946 and helps tell her own story.
Oh, no, Mr. Bartell. I'm no storyteller. That's the doctor's department. I'll just listen.
No, my dear. I'll set the scene, but you must bring up the curtain, as it were.
All right,
In
this
any
is the
case, my
grip
memory
coming out of the
on some of the early
curation.
points in connection with the case.
Fully
You will have to
cured.
help me out.
Oh, but you're talking to
CA
millions of listeners on the radio.
grip.
I'd be terrified to speak over the air.
We're on the air now, Mrs. Campbell.
Oh, we're not, are we? Oh, dear.
No.
Oh, dear.
Don't worry, Cynthia. If they're kind enough to listen to me week after week, I'm sure they'll be delighted to hear you. And now to get on with the story. The title, The Adventure of the Living Doll. The setting, the Sussex Downs, near the bee farm to which Sherlock Holmes retired. The period, 1910. And now,
There's the
Cynthia, my dear,
difference right
the
there.
curtain's going up, and the first scene belongs to you. Supposing you set it for us.
Well, I'll try. We were living on the Sussex Downs also, Mr. Bartell, at that time. My name was then Cynthia Browning. My father, Arthur Browning, being dead for some years. But my mother kept up the estate with a manager, Mr. Hugh Tanner. I was away at school most of the year, of course, but the happiest times of my childhood were spent during those long summer months in Sussex. I lived in a small world, knowing only a few people and loving all of them, or almost all. First of all, there was Mother herself. She was the most beautiful woman in the world, and the sweetest. I remember she gave me a puppy on my 12th birthday. His name was Dusty, and he was so sweet. I talked to Mother about him one day. I must have sounded terribly young.
Mommy, darling, I do love Dusty. Very, very much. He's a lovely puppy, and you gave him to me.
You love him, Cynthia. I know that. But I've been feeding him. That's your job, darling. It's good for grown-up people to have responsibility.
Oh, Mommy, I'll feed him. Of course I will. I'll feed him so full, he'll burst.
Then there was the estate manager, Hugh Tanner, such a pleasant man, and so willing to tell a 12-year-old all the things that a 12-year-old has to know all the time.
But, Mr. Tanner, why did you have to shoot the horse? He'd only broken his leg.
Cynthia, horses aren't like human beings. Their legs won't mend. Now think of a horse that couldn't brisk and run and gallop across the downs. We're actually being kind to him. Honest we are, Cynthia.
And then there was Frank King, the painter who lived on the downs. He taught me to open my eyes and really see things.
No, Cynthia. That sunset isn't red. It's gold and rust. And the water, child, look at it. It's almost rose in this light. Rose flecked with cobwebs of eggshell blue. Cynthia, darling, a sunset's never just one color. Do try and remember that, won't you?
And then there was Mr. Pound from the city. I gathered that he was terribly rich and he wanted to marry Mother. But he certainly didn't understand little girls.
Cynthia, I'm going to give you half a crown for being a very good little girl. Now, tell me, what will you do with it?
I'll buy something for Mommy.
Oh, no, my dear. This is your own money. You put it in the savings account at the post office, and it'll make more money for you. Always remember, my dear, take care of the pennies, and the pounds will take care of themselves.
Then there was the wonderful wise woman who knew all the things that aren't in books.
Always remember, my bunny, that it's good luck to touch the hump of a hunchback. But the curse of Beelzebub himself will be upon ye if ye look at a sliver of silver moon through the glass.
And then the strangest and most wonderful of them all was the lean, middle-aged man with a sharp face and the bee-net whom I met one day on the downs.
Good afternoon, young lady.
Good afternoon. I'm Cynthia Browning.
My name is Holmes. Sherlock Holmes.
Why are you carrying that net? You looking for butterflies?
Oh, no, Cynthia. I'm a bee farmer.
Bee farmer? Oh, that sounds funny. How do you farm bees?
Well, come over to my place Monday and I'll show you. I say, that's a beautiful doll you're carrying.
Isn't a doll. It's my mascot, was given to me by Frank King, the painter. He made it for me. He made it to look as much like me as possible. I call her me.
It's a remarkable likeness.
See the hair? That's clippings off my hair. The nails? Those are clippings from my own nails. She's really me. I love her.
Your own nails and hair, and the doll is an exact replica of you? I don't like that, Cynthia. Remember, my dear, my name, it's Sherlock Holmes, and I live at the bee farm, and if anything unusual happens, come to me at once.
Of course, Dr. Watson. I'll confess that first meeting with Sherlock Holmes rather frightened me.
You didn't understand why he was so worried about the doll, eh?
No, but I remembered what he said about coming to him if anything unusual happened.
And I'm sure that unusual something did happen.
Yes, Mr. Bartell, and within a very few days. But at this point, I think Dr. Watson should take over the story. It's where he and Mr. Holmes really entered into it.
Oh, very well. As I mentioned earlier, Mr. Bartell, I was staying with Holmes. Late in the afternoon, as I remember, that you ran over to the bee farm where I first met you, Cynthia. A few moments before you arrived, Holmes and I, each of us with a cup of tea in our hands, were seated on the veranda, gazing out across the downs, discussing the mutability of human affairs.
It's strange, Watson, that after a lifetime devoted to the more flamboyant aspects of everyday life, that now, in what is the fast approaching twilight of my days, I find such peace and companionship in the exact and predictable behavior of bees. I wonder what Moriarty would have thought.
Oh, you talking as if you're an old dodder of 90. You say what you like, but I don't think that you'll ever really be happy in retirement. You miss the danger, the excitement of the chase, the public acclaim.
What are you talking about? My work was never for the public. And what did the public, the great unobservant public, who could hardly tell a weaver by his tooth or a typesetter by his left thumb, care about the finer shades of analysis or deduction? In any case, Watson, I chose a happy time to sink into oblivion. In comparatively recent years, a criminal seems to have lost all his originality and enterprise. My own little practice when I gave it up seemed to be in danger of developing into an agency for recovering lost lead pencils or giving advice to young ladies from boarding schools.
Oh, talking of young ladies, who's this little girl running up your driveway?
Oh, great Scott, it's Cynthia Browning.
Oh, and who's she?
Oh, a charming young neighbor of mine. Hello, Cynthia.
Hello, Mr. Holmes.
You've come to see how I found bees, haven't you?
No, Mr. Holmes. You told me to come to you if something unusual happened. It has. Something that's frightened me.
Well, now, sit down, my dear. This is my old friend, Dr. Watson.
Oh, how do you do, Cynthia?
How do you do?
Ah, Cynthia, dear, what has frightened you?
It's my mascot. My knee. Look, somebody stabbed her through the heart.
Great Scott, a doll that's an exact replica of her, with a penknife thrust into it. Good gracious me.
When did you find your mascot like this?
Just after tea. Mummy had some gentlemen calling on her, and afterwards I went up to my room and found poor me on the bed. I remembered what you told me about anything unusual, and so I came over here as fast as I could.
Yes, I'm glad that you did, Cynthia.
Did you tell your mother where you'd gone with her?
No, I didn't. She was still talking to the gentleman.
Well, she'll worry about you when she discovers your disappearance.
Don't worry, Watson. I shall go over and talk to her at once. Cynthia, my dear.
Yes, Mr. Holmes?
Who were the gentlemen calling on your mother?
Well, there was Mr. Tanner.
Yes.
He's the man who looks after the estate for Mummy. Mr. King, the painter.
Mr. King is the man who made this doll, eh? Now, who else was there?
Mr. Pound. He's a businessman from London that's staying with Mummy.
And they were all present in your house when you found the mascot lying on the bed.
Yes, Mr. Holmes.
What's no, chap?
Yes, sir?
I'm going over to see Cynthia's mother at once. I want Cynthia to stay here with you. Guard her, old chap, as you would your life. Mrs. Browning, I know I'm a scene.
All right.
Intrusive
So
neighbor, but
none
please
black
don't hurt me. My
ended
name's
up
Holmes.
fitting.
Sherlock
I
Holmes.
was 45, and you saw it on the build plate.
Please sit down, won't you?
I put him on a 45-ish, somewhere around there. It was a custom angle.
I know you're a great detective.
Your charming little daughter, Cynthia.
So that's unfortunate. So this was printed flat, and it works. It's the OD green. It's the original one, however, which is great. Problem is the sides are a little bit thin, and it's prone to breaking when you take it off the build plate. So I believe I'm going to end up printing these vertically. But regardless, none of those today. This came out And we are now going to test that for the very first time right here and now, as soon as I get my X key set. Okay, this is the disassembly of the handguard. It's just an M-lock. Turns that key free on the inside there. I know that's awful lighting. Then it goes straight, and we are just going to pull it through. Love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. M-lock nut is in. Oh, jeepers, what did I do with that? There's no way that's it. What did I do with that Allen key? That's totally the right one. Okay. Alrighty. It is together for the most part. Got a few stoppers on the front and in the back to keep it from rotating once it's in position. So let's see. Oh man, she fits like a glove. I'm not gonna lie. That fit in there really quite nicely. I wish the camera would focus closer. There we go. Don't mind the crack in the handguard. Just know that everything is in there and fits. And as far as like spin right, spin left, there's almost none, which is great. Oh, wow. And she locked in like nothing. Didn't have to stick a finger in there or anything. I cranked it down pretty good just because I think that's what other people are going to do. But that is it. That is your hand stop right there. It does feel a little bit small. And I probably put it on backwards. Let me undo that, flip it around. To flip it around, you got to take it all the way off. I kind of wish it was just a little bit bigger. Will not lie to you on that. All right, so she's locked back in now in the reverse direction. So it could go a little bit further back. This is how I think people are going to be running it into. That's how it's meant to be run, like that. Underneath or headed here, somewhere around there. Now, obviously, I wish my handguard was a little bit deeper here. Push this down a little bit further. Oh, I guess that's back as far as it can go. It simply is what it is, and it isn't what it isn't. Boy, that is sweet. I'm not going to lie to you. That is pretty sweet. Now, none of the colors match, I'm not going to lie. But we have a little setup here. Something. $3:30 a.m. Time to end the live stream. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for hanging out. I know we didn't design anything today, but we will get that hex foregrip design tomorrow. That's the plan. Peace.